Here's Brody Brazil.
I really don't exactly know how to explain this situation other than saying, imagine the Cleveland Browns getting part of their brand new stadium funded by money that is simply lost. Not like they found it on the sidewalk, but money with the state of Ohio that has not been claimed. Like it's just sitting in no man's land. And the Browns saw all that money and said, can we borrow like $600 million of that to help build our stadium? We're also getting money from the city and the county where we want to put this brand new football stadium outside of the city of Cleveland, out in the suburbs. But can we borrow that money that nobody has claimed? And I know what you're thinking. Wait, who doesn't claim money from the state of Ohio? But there's like almost $4 billion in unclaimed funds. And the Browns are tapping into borrowing that for 16 years, using that to build a stadium. I know it sounds crazy, but let's actually begin with the Cleveland Browns. And you need to know their history. You need to know why some of this is even controversial to begin with. They've left Cleveland before. Now, they're not technically leaving like the Cleveland metro area, but they're leaving the city of Cleveland. They're leaving the lakefront. They want to go out to the suburbs and build a dome. But it's kind of sensitive because they've obviously left before. They were established in 1944. Then in 1995, their owner, Art Modell, he moved the team like in the middle of the night, controversially, to Baltimore. Then in 1999, the league realized, all right, we made a mistake. We're giving Cleveland back a team. The Browns were restocked through an expansion draft. The Browns 2.0 exist still to today. Problem is, since 1999, and I mean, this almost seems hard to do. Since 1999, the year that I graduated high school, they've had just 4 winning seasons. Like, I've got a lot of gray hairs now. I'm an old man. They've only had 4 winning seasons since I graduated high school. Not even a playoff season. 4 winning seasons. A winning record only 4 times. Yeah, they've struggled. And now they're on the move again. They want to move to Brook Park. It's about 15 minutes away from downtown Cleveland. So look, it's not that far. Again, it's in the suburbs. It's right next to the airport, by the way. Almost, dare I say, uncomfortably close, like right across the street from Cleveland's main airport. The renovation, they say, of their current stadium will not solve operational issues, and it's only 25 years old at this point. It was built right around the turn of the century. It shouldn't be at this phase where you're just about to abandon a 25, 30-year-old venue versus fixing it up or having designed it the right way the first time. But they also say they need a dome to justify the magnitude of this public-private partnership. They want to have events there year-round, obviously in Cleveland, right by the lake. The winter months are kind of a no-go for the Taylor Swift concert that every city inevitably wants to have. So issues with the old stadium and a dome, a covered stadium, to justify doing something brand new. And they've revealed the renderings. And, you know, I think that the best way that I can describe these renderings is we look at the art gallery of all the different cities and teams' renderings these days. This stadium kind of feels like the Cybertruck of NFL stadiums. See what I'm saying there? Sharp angles, long lines, very minimalistic. It looks kind of cool. It can obviously host a basketball game. Again, the indoor part of this, I think, is equally compelling for the team. Look, they also want to move to an area where they just bought 100+ acres. They want to develop all the land around it. You know how this goes. It's never really about the stadium itself. It's about the stadium plus the revenue from that plus the development surrounding it. Every team and their ownership, obviously, is interested in real estate. You can have a soccer match there. All of this is under a dome that's got a translucent roof, so maybe it'll feel a little bit more outside. Doesn't look like it's retractable at all. At least none of the renderings show that. This is a fully enclosed dome, which makes me think maybe they could do real grass if it's got that translucent roof, but we'll see about that. A versatile facility, a versatile venue. There you go. Off in the distance there, the airport. Off in the near ground here is that development surrounding the stadium. I think the development is going to cost another $1 billion+, and the stadium is more like $2.4 billion. Maybe that's the next slide here. Yes, it is. It's almost like I planned it. Project funding, $2.4 billion for the stadium. How are they going to come up with that? $1.2 billion, basically 50%, as planned, from public subsidies, including that $600 million in unclaimed property from the state of Ohio, which is due to be paid back over 16 years. But in the meantime, it's like, this isn't even the state's money. This is literally the public's money that they forgot to claim. And what are we talking about? How do you, I will share that with you. I was curious about that too. I've got your answer in just a second. paid back over 16 years, but they're borrowing money that's not even the state's to lend. And then another $600 million via bonds from the city of Brook Park and Cuyahoga County. Wait a second. So the Browns are getting money from the city, county, and state? I mean, man, that's the trifecta. More on that in just a second, too. The Browns are on the hook for the other $1.2 billion, plus developing the rest of the property, plus any overages, which I'll be honest with you, here in 2025 and beyond, with costs of labor and construction materials and potential tariffs, and who knows where the world is going in the next couple of years, that number could quickly rise. Let's go back to the unclaimed property in Ohio. How do you get to $3.7 billion of just money that's sitting there that somebody forgot to take home? Inactive bank accounts. Somebody's died. Somebody hasn't touched money in 20 years. Uncashed checks, like the state wrote you a check and you didn't cash it? You didn't deposit it? Stocks and bonds, unclaimed utility deposits, unclaimed insurance benefits, forgotten rent deposits, safe deposit box contents. I mean, that's kind of gruesome. Did somebody pass away and then they just open the box after 20 years and there's a bunch of gold bricks in there? How does that work? Unclaimed wages. All those things over all the years have somehow added up to $3.7 billion in the state of Ohio. So what is it in like the state of California or Texas or Florida or New York? I'm talking about big population states. Are there huge amounts of unclaimed money just sitting there? Can we get a little bit of that back? And actually, in Ohio, isn't that kind of the right thing to do? And that's kind of why there's dissension here. By the way, I haven't included any quotes, but there are a lot of politicians who are very much against the state of Ohio giving out this money that's not even Ohio's, but giving it out to a sports team instead of giving it back to the public. Spread the love. Take 50% of $3.7 billion and do some sort of tax refund, even over a couple years, even if it's just small amounts, 20, 40, 50 bucks a person, whatever, they'll take it. It just feels more right than to have it sit there and then put it to a purpose like this, right? The land, by the way, out at Brook Park, that was recently purchased as soon as all of this went through. Now, it's approved by the House and by the Senate. It needs to be approved by the governor of the state of Ohio. More on that in just a second. So as soon as the Browns saw all this, they had the ability to go ahead and purchase the land, the 176-acre site at Brook Park. As soon as it seemed like it was going to go through, they made that transaction happen last week. $76 million for the land, 176 acres. They're hoping to start construction early next year. They still need, at this point, zoning and public approvals out in Brook Park. It's a small suburb. Who knows whether they'll have all the right resources to all of a sudden host football games. Like, this is not downtown Cleveland. This is not where a bunch of people already are. This is the suburbs. They're bringing the NFL out to the suburbs. They need a lot of approvals and logistics figured out. And again, it's right across the street from the airport. So look, they do have an airport there. It's not to say that this is in the middle of nowhere, but it's just maybe not ready for 60, 70,000 people in and out all at once. Oh yeah. I know what you're thinking. What about that Modell Law? What about the law that says you can't, in the state of Ohio, move a team out of a city? Move a team that's received public subsidies out of a city without approval and without the opportunity for the city to buy that team before they leave. I'll explain this Modell Law, but also let me tell you here from the start, the legislation that's being approved to give the Browns $600 million from the state of Ohio, it lets them bypass the Modell Law. The Modell Law said that you couldn't leave a city. Now the Modell Law is going to say, if approved, you just can't leave the state of Ohio. You can move city to city in Ohio. You just can't leave the state. They have literally altered the Modell Law at the very same time that Cleveland is suing the team with the Modell Law as kind of the reasoning and the principle behind it. Anyway, this was passed in 96. It was enacted by the Ohio Assembly, signed by the governor. It's in the revised code section 9.67 if you really want to go look it up. No owner of a pro sports team that uses a tax-supported facility for most of its home games and receives financial assistance from the state or a political subdivision thereof shall cease playing most of its home games at that facility and begin playing most of its home games elsewhere unless the owner either does one of two things. A, enters into an agreement with the political subdivision permitting the team to play most of its home games elsewhere. So like the city says, fine, you want to move? You can move. In this case, Cleveland saying, like the city of Cleveland is saying, no, we don't want you to move. We're suing you with this Modell Law is the reason why. Or B, gives that city, that political subdivision, in which the facility is located, not less than 6 months advance notice of the owner's intention to cease playing most of its home games at the facility, and during the 6 months after such notice, gives the political subdivision or any individual group or group of individuals who reside in the area the opportunity to purchase the team. You can't leave without giving somebody the chance to buy the team. This was enacted because Art Modell took the Cleveland Browns and moved them to Baltimore, and the second he did it, they made this Modell Law in the state of Ohio and said, this is not happening again. But now they're changing the Modell Law. It's not city to city again. It's you just can't leave the state, which allows the Browns, it would allow the Browns to do this. It would give them the $600 million they need and let them leave the city of Cleveland. So here are my takeaways. Number one, this has been passed, right, for all the ways and reasons it needs to, but it still has to be signed by the governor. It can still be line item vetoed by Governor Mike DeWine until the 30th of June. Is that today when I'm putting this out? So all of this to say that who knows how this is actually going to go. This could still be stopped. This could go through, or parts of it could be removed. Very interesting to see if all this officially gets wrapped up. The Browns literally are getting subsidies from every single possible entity. The city, the state, and the county? I mean, you've heard of a city giving something, or a county being a part of this because they own the stadium. But a city, a county, and a state? I mean, I realize there's going to be opposition to that, but from a team perspective, there's no other place they could go ask for money and get it somewhere else. That's a lot of asking, and that's a lot of getting for the Cleveland Browns. Bypassing that Modell Law while there's a lawsuit directly involving the Modell Law, it just seems like you're changing the rules as a lawsuit is already, It feels like that lawsuit should still be upheld under the Modell Law as it was when the lawsuit was filed. You can't change the laws while a suit's going on. And by the way, leaving another empty stadium lakefront in downtown Cleveland, I don't feel great about that. You built it 30 years ago. It was great. You got to keep the Browns. But now just departing it because you need a dome, you need a roof. Okay, I get it. Well, why didn't we do that before? Can't we put a roof on the existing stadium? There's a lot of questions I have about abandoning facilities after that 30-year mark. You didn't do it right, or you're not being responsible in figuring things out. 30 years is not enough for the lifetime of a sports venue in North America, in my opinion. So there you go. Unclaimed funds accounting for a quarter of maybe this construction. They're supposed to pay it back over 16 years, and there are some assurances that they will, but it's just kind of weird. I've never heard this one before, using lost money to fund a professional sports stadium. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments section below. Also, thumbs up down there helps me, the video, the channel. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I would love to see you back here next time.